Welcome back to the neighborhood, boys and girls. Couple of princesses here hanging out in the neighborhood with our tiaras. Our next guest is Val Gallagher. Val, welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Keller
Thanks
Williams.
for having me, Jim.
Welcome to the show. Talk a little bit about your beginnings in the real estate industry, because I love hearing the stories. A lot of the women that are in real estate have the awesomest beginnings and startups. It's not like someone's like, oh man, since 7th grade I've wanted to be a real estate agent, you know?
Yeah.
So how'd you get locked up into this crazy world?
I don't know, but I must have been smoking some funny stuff when they when I had that epiphany that this would be a good thing. You know, it's so funny because I remember getting a recruiting call. I was probably in my mid-20s. I've been in sales a very long time, but I was probably in my mid-20s, and I got a recruiting call from, I don't remember if it was Century 21 or Weicker. The only reason why I say it was either Century 21 or Weicker is because whatever company it was, yellow gold was in their their logo. But, you know, I was getting paid really well, you know, by a teeny tiny company called Xerox at the time. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of Xerox. And so when I said, I was like, well, what do I get paid? They're like, well, you're 100% commission. I went, no thanks, I'm good. So, you know, you're right. I mean, I didn't raise my hand saying I want to be a real estate agent when I grew up. So fast forward many years. I was thinking about getting into it because I had owned a home care business. I sold it, and then I started working for other people, and I don't make a good employee. Like that's my running joke. I am not employable.
I'm the same way. I don't take orders well.
The HR department can never be anywhere within 1,000 feet of me.
Guilty.
So anyway, I put a post out on Facebook and was like, hey, you know, who of my friends are real estate agents who are netting six figures a year? And so I had a bunch of people comment, but David Spencer, who was at Keller Williams in Washington Township and is now over at Weicker, you know, in Washington Township or Turnersville, David reached out to me, and he was so kind. You know, he was like, hey, why don't we get on the phone and have a conversation? And I can remember sitting at my kitchen table, eating my salad and talking on the phone with David to hear like his journey, his story, and about real estate. And I had had some tough years before. I had a divorce, I had a bankruptcy, I had a short sale, and I wasn't really feeling the mojo. Like I just didn't have my confidence. David believed in me at a time that I didn't believe in myself. That's how he was the one, you know, pretty much single-handedly. It was like, you will kill it. You've got to do this. Nice.
And did you go and work with Dave
No.
first? Or,
no. As a matter of fact, he left. I joined Keller Williams in Morristown.
Okay.
I joined Keller Williams in Marlton in late 2018 when I got my license.
Gotcha.
But then moved over to Keller Williams in Morristown because I live in Morristown, and initially started out on Mike Carr's team.
Okay.
And then, you know, Mike knew I probably wasn't going to last that long being on somebody's team. I was working a full-time job.
Right.
And, you know, I had asked my husband, October 1st, I essentially got my license in 2018. I want to say late October, early November, I said to him, I really want to quit this job. I don't really like what I'm doing. I think I can kill it in real estate.
Go full force.
And he says, you can't. We need your salary, because I was making really good money, you know, working for somebody doing sales. And I was like, ugh. Did not like the job at all. December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, he comes home from work. He's like, oh, how was your day? I said, great, how was yours? He said, oh, it was good. He said, anything new? I said, I quit my job. He goes, what? Like it just did, you know, what is it, The Exorcist, you know, completely goes on. He's like, you did what? I said, I quit my job. He said, I told you can't quit your job. I said, do you trust me? He's like, yeah, but. I said, no, yeah, but. Do you trust me? Yes. Great. So I left working with my car, went over to Keller Williams in Morristown, started working there, and David was at Keller Williams, and then he left and went to Weicker. And oddly enough, a year later, I ended up at Weicker, but not because of him. I mean, I talked to him. We're friends, but you know, that's kind of how I ended up there. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, do you tend to gravitate towards a certain client? Are you like majoritively first-time home buyers, or majoritively investors, or majoritively second homes, anything like that?
Yeah, so I've always thankfully, you know, I don't know how it's happened, it just kind of has happened, but I've always been primarily a listing agent, even right from the very beginning. Actually, my first 2 transactions were listings, that I got. So my specialty, my niche is working with the, 55, 65 and older clientele.
Gotcha.
So I've got my SRES, which is your Seniors Real Estate Specialist designation. And so as far as sellers are concerned, that's really my niche. Not too many of them are buying homes per se.
Right.
Some of them, but not a lot of them. And then when I look at who are the home buyers that I work with,
Right.
most of them are first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And my nickname's the Shark. My clients have, actually one client, Katie, nicknamed me that, a couple years ago. Because I'll fight for them. I go to bat for them, especially in a market that we've had for the last couple of years where it's so one-sided on the sellers, and it's very hard to get FHA, Home Seeker Grant Program buyers, offers accept. VA, I love VA buyers. I'm under contract with a VA buyer on one of my listings right now. Love them.
It is one of the bigger, almost criminal things that have happened in the industry, where you get somebody who serves and does all this stuff, and you won't entertain their offer because they're not putting it. It's just crazy. I argue all the time. I can't tell you how many listing agents I've called, because the realtors that I deal with, I have them copy me on the offer so I can be the first one to get on the phone. And I'm calling on the phone, I'm like, listen, this guy's great. He's an exceptional credit score. I can't tell you the exact number, but it's over this, and we're good. He makes a ton of money. There's not gonna be any problems. Already pre-approved, already been underwritten. And they're like, yeah, we just can't take a VA loan.
Because they don't understand it. Now, don't get me wrong, because I have a lot of older folks' homes, and some of them are hoarder paradises.
Right.
You walk in, you're like, wait a minute, I better go put booties over my shoes and put a mask on and gloves and a big suit, a hazmat suit. So some of them legitimately aren't appropriate for VA or FHA. However, I tell my sellers all the time, nobody is going to be as rock solid of a buyer as somebody who is a pre-approved with a VA loan.
Yeah.
Because they're not losing their funding. In 99.9% of the cases, they're not losing their funding.
Sure.
And most of the appraisals, I had one time invoke Tidewater.
Right.
And I fought it because I know my numbers. And guess what? We got it.
Sure.
No problem.
Sure.
And I wasn't even the listing agent. I was the buyer's agent, and I fought it.
Yeah, as long as
my
you're not
buyers.
just pulling numbers out of the air. You know what I mean? If you know there's comps out there that validate the sales price of it, Tidewater shouldn't be anything you can't overcome.
No.
You know what I mean?
So it's a huge lack of awareness and skill set on the listing agent's part, that they're discriminating against these buyers. And these men and women, we're allowed to walk around and have the freedoms we have.
Sure.
Thanks in part to those men and women.
Yeah, I any VA buyer that I can get, I love them. We make a donation in their name because we want to give back to them a little bit. And I've had a couple of them that were really great people, and we had a real horrible time finding them a property because they were on their 17th or 18th bid because we couldn't find something. Even if the one guy was like, look, I'll put $20,000 in escrow and I'll just get it back at closing. I don't care. I just want this property. And finally, he found somebody to listen to go through it. But it's been tough. If it ain't conventional or cash, it's hard to push through.
I got a great property coming in Cherry Hill. I welcome any VA buyers.
Nice.
It's in Woodcrest. It's going to hit the market next week. So.
Nice. So everybody knows out there, if you're watching,
if you got a VA buyer,
Val will take VA or FHA if it's a good one.
That's right. That's right. It's all doing the lender too. The lender has the agent, the co-op agent, and the lender have a lot to do.
Sure.
We just went under contract with an FHA buyer for one of my other listings.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you get an FHA pre-qual from Bank of Podunk in Idaho.
Bank of America.
Yeah. I don't want to get sued, but you everybody knows who's got real pre-quals and who's got wood. You know what I mean? They didn't look at the W-2s. They didn't look. If we're sending out a pre-qual, I have the tax returns, we have the W-2s, we have the pay stubs, and we have the bank statements. I'm not sending out a pre-qual. We're not wasting our time or your time without it. And it's just been a troubling thing in our industry. My ex-wife is a realtor. A lot of my family is realtors. I have close friends that are realtors, and they call me up and they're like, Jim, have you ever heard of this bank? I'm like, Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Did you research them? Like, yeah, they're from somewhere in Tennessee and they got a 3-star rating on the Better Business Bureau. I'm like, what?
Nope.
It's not what
Nope.
the paper is written on, you know what I mean? I can send you a pre-qual that says Mickey Mouse is coming out to do a settlement, but don't mean it's happening, you know? Like, come on. All right, so let's talk about 2 years from now, future Val. 2024, where do you want to be in business? What's some goals that you have set off that you're ready to check off as you come through?
You know, probably one of the biggest things is creating expansion business in another state. You know, it's. I mean, listen, I have a love-hate relationship with New Jersey, right? Like, I've been here, I love it. It's centrally located to a lot of different things, but our property taxes, you know, are still insane, and they're not getting any better. And nobody's doing the checks and balances at any level within the state to make sure, hey, we don't spend more than we have coming in. Like, it's bringing, you know, if you and I ran our businesses the way the way the government, the state, you know, the country, whatever is run, we'd be out of business, and nobody's handing us $1 million to bail us out, right? So for me, I look at, you know, creating an opportunity in another state, probably South Carolina, Florida, or Tennessee.
Okay.
And I will create an expansion team, you know, in one of those states and start to grow business there. I want to get more involved in, you know, coaching and mentoring, you know, newer agents and, you know, probably at some point create a team. You know, I don't want to have a team of, you know, 10, 12, 15 people, but a team of, I don't know, 3 to 5,
right.
you know, is good. Like, I don't want to do $180 million, you know, as a real estate agent or as a real estate team. I learned a lot over the last couple of years being a solo agent and doing the business that I did. I was run down, I was beat down, I was exhausted, I was physically in pain. I feel like I had no quality of life. My emotions were all over the place. So going into this year, and when I moved over from, you know, my previous brokerage to Keller Williams, I was like, I'm not gonna go crazy, as I like to say, balls to the wall. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna be more selective. I'm gonna focus in on sellers and then be very picky as to who my buyers are. And I'm gonna have a better quality of life.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing
so far I'm
how
living
that
it.
works, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Awesome. That's awesome.
If you think it and you plan it, it will become.
There you go. Awesome. Val, thank you so much for
Thanks,
coming. Oh, wait,
Jim.
I gotta ask you a personal question.
Oh.
I forgot. Take the handshake back.
Toot, toot, toot.
Okay, we're going music.
Oh,
If
music.
If you could have any musician, alive or dead, come to your house and play 2 songs, musician, band, anything like that, who's the musician and what 2 songs would it be for him to play live for you?
Oh, geez. See, I'm so not the best with like song names. So, I would definitely have Johnny Cash.
Okay, Johnny Cash.
And I love his version of Hurt.
Okay.
Love
yes.
his version of Hurt.
The 9 Inch Nails song.
So
for
I
sure.
would say him, and then probably. I used to love Madonna, but I don't like the pop stuff so
You don't like
much
the pop
anymore.
stuff?
No. Oh man.
Old school Madonna, like a version.
Pearl,
or something
I would
like that?
have to have like Pearl Jam or Nirvana for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
And any song I'd be okay with because I don't think that either one of them have a bad song.
Awesome.
You know.
Great answer.